The following broadcast may contain explicit language and adult themes. Viewer discretion is advised. The opinions expressed in this broadcast are those of the hosts, talent, and guests, and do not reflect the opinions, views, and standards of Pyro Media Enterprises, affiliates, subsidiaries, or its members. What's up, kings, queens, and the entire spectrum in between? It is your boy Kwame, and I am back with yet another episode of Kwame Speaks, and I am honored. I am so happy. My sister from another mister is here, y'all. Listen, she is not only just one of the people that I admire beyond words for living in their truth, but also someone who she just has it. She's that it girl. She's that girl. And so I am just honored. I've known this woman for such a long time. She has helped me grow as a cisgendered homosexual man in expressing and learning about myself as what the G means in the LGBTQ community, but also how I can be a better brother to our trans sisters and brothers and non-binary siblings. And so for me, I'm just honored to have this woman on here. I support her through thick and thin. I don't care what she says. She could say that, sugar goes on grits. I might judge her, but I still love her. So I am so happy to introduce. I'm not even going to waste any time. I want to maximize the most time that I can with her because she is that girl and is busy. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, kings and queens, and the entire spectrum in between, please help me welcome my sister from another mister, Hope Giselle. Hey, sis.
Hey.
How are you?
I am good. I was back here cackling. I was back here cackling. That intro was too funny.
Well, can I tell you something really funny that happened a couple of weeks ago? I had a client who I had just finished doing a live stream for him, and she had said to me, she was like, I actually started looking into some of the new shows, and I saw this one of the new shows. I have thoughts, and is it true that because she did? I want to make sure I don't want to be offensive, but is it true that that she's trans? And I was like, yeah. And so, I didn't I was just like, yeah, she's trans. Why? And so she goes, oh, because I didn't want to be offended. I was like, why would that be offensive? Listen, if it was me, I would want to be a phenomenal trans woman. But I think what took her aback, and I think this was just a learning opportunity for so many, because a lot of people ask me, these type of questions, like, what does that, and I think for me, I have to let people know that I'm not a trans woman. And so my experience is not going to be the experience of a trans woman. And I think that is something that we as allies and we as other siblings within the LGBTQ community need to really understand, that our experience as gay men, lesbian women, etc., queer people, is not the same experience as trans women. So we need to be able to express that and let people know, hey, you need to talk to an expert. Just like I wouldn't want someone who is not Black to speak for me. So I wanted to kind of give you the platform on just living in your truth and what does that mean? Like, how did that all start? I have your books. We're going to talk about it. Get into the things, girl.
Oh my God. So, I got to take y'all all the way back because it started on Facebook. People think, especially like now, because of who Hope Giselle has become in community. And I say in community because I like to be humble and also be in a reality that suits my lived experience, right? Like, I've grown out of saying that I'm not famous and grown into saying, I am well known in my community, right? You know, so within the TGNC, the LGBTQIA plus community, you ask the right people and you gonna get a good response about Hope Giselle. You know, now beyond that, child, I don't know who I am, but
Right.
but we're trying to change those things.
Mhm.
But it started on Facebook, and it was years ago, and it's very ironic considering the climate that we're in right now with legislation and things. But my very first time turning on my camera and opening up my mouth to say anything about any issue was after the gay marriage bill was passed.
Mhm.
And it was only because I felt like I had curated a space on Facebook that was like safe for me and that like everybody understood it and we all got it and da 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 da. And it
Yeah.
was like after that ruling came out, I had a good 85% of my Facebook friends that were just like bashing, and 98% of them were Black, you know, and that kind of spearheaded my career into what it's become now. But a large part of it was community holding me accountable, right? So even when you say like
Mm.
in your greeting, like, oh, she's taught me how to be this and she's taught me all of these other things, it's because I was taught, you know, community. I didn't become the boisterous person that I am because community agreed with everything that I had to say, right?
Right.
There were some times where the girls and the boys and our siblings had to be like, "Ho, that was insensitive," and you think you got your little degree and you know everything, but you don't, you know. And so I just had to kind of sort of come back from that, settle in myself, do my research, humble myself a little bit, you know, and now I'm able to do the things that I do and do the things that I love and speak up for the people who don't often have a voice. So I'm just really excited.
I love that you said that, Hope, because I think that's when people really take off. And I noticed in your journey when you really launched, because I've always thought you were a star. That's just me, but I'm biased. but I think when you really took off is when I noticed that you were like, huh, let me take a step back. And let me actually process what this person is saying because they have an experience with me that is different than my perception. And so it's okay that you had this experience. Let's go ahead and talk about it and see what I can learn from it and how we can move forward. And oftentimes, I think we get so caught up in our ego and caught up in our space and sphere that we don't take the time out to give, number one, the person grace and ourself grace to learn from that. And that is, and of course, you know, we throw shade, you know, we watch celebrities and we throw shade and that's our thing, that, you know, whatever. But I think there's a difference between commentary and being vicious. You know what I'm saying?
Agreed.
And so I think one of the things that I really enjoyed about your growth, and even in you teaching me, and even some of the things that you've taken, you know, from me as well, that we've taught from each other, is the need and the ability to be a student. One of the things that my dad has always taught me is always remain a student of life. And I really appreciate you doing that and really saying, you know what? I had them thoughts and I don't have them thoughts no more.
Because you know what that's called?
Mhm.
Growth.
Growth. But with that being said, I oftentimes when people one of the reasons why our relationship is the way it is because I don't hold you to the standard of 2014 Hope or 2019 Hope or 2020 Hope. And you don't hold me to when we first met each other, we're not the same people that we were now. We're very different people now. And because of that growth and because of that space that we've given each other to say, you know what? You're going to grow. I'm going to grow. I'm going to blossom into whatever flower I'm going to blossom into. And that will be it. Now, one thing that you have blossomed into is a sunflower. That has not changed. Okay? That is your thing. But my point is, you know, in saying that is that how do you deal with people who keep you in a box and keep you in that space that's the experience that I had with her and that's the experience I'm going to forever have with her, you know?
It's funny that you even mentioned this because it happened very recently. I was somewhere out And well, actually, no, I was invited out by a trans guy friend of mine.
Mhm.
And he was very happy that I was in the space. And, he wanted me to just say a couple of words and things of that nature. And I looked out into the audience and I saw a couple of trans men who I had a negative experience with, not for any like reason. We were just on a panel and we disagreed about some things on that
Mhm.
panel.
Mhm.
And I remember the eye rolling as soon as they realized that I was in the room and I was getting all of these accolades and that other trans men in the room were happy to see me, So like that little corner of gaggling people were just kind of like, oh. And I'm just like, we did this panel in like 2018. Like, you still mad about something that I probably like misspoke about or whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
And the way that I combated that was before I got into my stuff. I was like, hey, so I know that I've probably ruffled a couple of feathers in this room. So for just as many people in here that are very happy that I'm here and that are super excited to meet me in person and all of the things, I know that there are some of you all that are not. But I challenge you, right? To let go of whatever that negative experience was, whatever that rumor mill thing that you heard about me was, whatever that thing was that we disagreed about 6 years ago. I challenge you to let that go and learn, right? And
Mm.
if you still don't like what I have to say, if you still don't like my delivery, if you still feel like my tone is off all of these years later, then it's me, right?
Yeah.
Me and you and our chakras just don't align, right? But I challenge you to do something different today. And every single one of those people did something different intentionally, and we were able to move past all of that foolishness from that moment. And I do the same thing with other folks. Like, like, it's okay. You heard a thing about me and that's cool. But I challenge you to create your own thought process about me now, right? You
Yeah.
came in here with the perception that somebody else gave you. Now lean not to your own understanding, but lean into
Mm.
your own understanding, right?
Girl.
Um,
You better go ahead and give them
yeah.
inscription city. But, no, but I think that that's beautiful, and I think that that was a phenomenal way that you handled that, and I I will take note. Because oftentimes I think what happens is that people want you to go to a space of how you used to operate, and
Yes.
sometimes it's the taking off of the earrings, and that's not growth, right? That's not showing emotional intelligence. That's not showing maturity. And I think oftentimes, we allow our traumas and triggers to keep us in a space that people want us to be in.
Mm.
And so I thank you for sharing that with us. And but I don't want to get all Yana Vinzon on us, but I want to talk more about with that when you go into these spaces, you are busy. For those who don't know, Hope has a show on Pyro Media Network called I Have Thoughts with Hope Giselle. And it is phenomenal, but it took us a while to get this done. Not because she couldn't do it, not because she doesn't have the skill set. She has it all. Okay, but it's the scheduling, and I will not stand in the way of her saving the world. I just won't. But my question to you is, when you go into these spaces, and oftentimes you go into spaces that are challenging, you go into these spaces and you go into these platforms that are challenging. We're not going to name his name, but you battled a particular person in the past year or so, and what frustrates me about that whole situation, and what made me so proud of you, is that even though actually it was multiple people, so I don't know if you know who I'm talking about, but
Mhm.
but how you handle both of those situations is that you were in a space of educating. It wasn't you could have taken it there, because I know you were like, I'm pissed. Because I know your facial expressions, and I know you were like 2.5 seconds from being like, "Doot, doot, doot, doot." Like it was about to be carry the rage. But
Yeah.
I think how you handled it was so eloquent and so powerful, and it was so needed, because oftentimes there's this blanket on the Black LGBTQIA community, where we're ghetto, or we're birds or whatever, and you handled it with such grace and such elegance. And I just want to know, where did you hide the knife? Yeah. Like what made you like how did you do that? Mm. Yeah, let's take a moment.
I honestly, what it was for me was like looking out and realizing that people were just trying to have their moment. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
At my expense. And I think that for, especially with the first situation, right? Like the
Yeah.
first situation taught me a lot about how to deal with the second situation. And
Yeah.
so the reason I'm saying situations, y'all, is because if you type my name in on the YouTube and scroll deep enough, you'll
You'll
figure
find
it
it.
out. You know,
Yeah.
you'll find it. But it's one of those things where I don't want that to be the thing that people are constantly searching up, because I don't want that to be the thing that people find when they Google me. You know, I'm
Right.
so much more than that, and
It's
those
so much
things.
more than that.
But what I learned was that most of these people don't care one
Mhm.
way or the other. They could care less about my existence one way or the other. They were trying to fill content. They were trying to get their engagement up. They were trying to get likes and clicks and all of the things. And I was just the catalyst for that. The same way that the Kardashians or Beyonce or, whatever the latest celebrity gossip in the world is for people who get their content up and that's how they make their money. Like I was just the thing of the week for those people. And
Yeah.
here I am taking it personally as if these people genuinely just hate me and don't like me. And I just had to realize, like, this ain't got nothing to do with me. If it
Yeah.
wasn't me, it would be somebody else. And if it
Yeah.
wasn't somebody else, it would be another person, right? So it's just really about being able to like personify the things that I speak about, right? All of the things that I say I'm about, being above and moving on, picking the time and the place, but then also recognizing when it's about you for real and when it's just about somebody being able to use you to get what they want. And if that's what you're gonna do, get your clicks, get your likes, collect your YouTube check, because I don't, if my videos don't get seen, I'm not worried about my lights going off, right? And for some people, that's their reality. So
Yeah.
if you need me to help you pay your light bill this month, by all means, say my name in whatever capacity that you would like. Just don't lie on me. That's all I ask.
Right. No, that's right. And I said all of that not to drum it up, but I said all that because I think oftentimes when you go on a mission, on a life mission, and I think you have really discovered yourself, and really people, there's this stigma about trans people in general, and non-binary people, that there is confusion amongst them. And to
Mm.
me, in my experience with trans individuals, is that they know themselves more than some of us know ourselves, because they've had to internalize and go and have a introspective type situation with themselves, where they're looking within and they're saying, who am I? Because if they don't tell themselves or figure out who they are first, they can't tell anybody else who they are, because
Mm.
nobody's going to know. And once they stand firm on who they are, they can then go forth and go out into the world and say, no, you cannot call me that, because this is what I am. No, you cannot say that to me, because this is what I am. And that is something that I have really admired about you, Hope, above everything else, besides the fact that you just slay in pictures. Besides all of that, it's the fact that there is a light inside of you that is so strong. There's a foundational pillar within you that says, this is Hope Giselle. And nobody else can tell me who Hope Giselle is but Hope. And what do you say to other people, not just the trans community, but people in general, whether they're heterosexual, homosexual, a part of the LGBTQ community or not, race, whatever, ethnicity, whatever? What do you say to people who are still trying to discover honestly who they are?
Take your time. It's legitimately not a race, and everybody is running at a different pace on a different track at a different park anyway, right? And so be mindful of trying to keep up with somebody whose track is bigger than yours because their goals are a lot larger than yours. Be mindful of following up on somebody's track who has a whole bunch of obstacles that you'll never have to face. Be mindful of timing your, your breaks and your rest with somebody else's breaks and somebody else's rest, because their breaks and their rest are coming frequently because they have a health condition you don't know about, right? And so it's just like, understand that your race was strategically built in place for you to be able to do the things that you need to do. And even on the mile stretches where it feels like it's real long and the water ain't come fast enough and now your cleats are getting a little worn down, like, be mindful that that track was built for that. That track was built for your cleats to give out at a certain time, because you're setting yourself up for a new pair that you don't even know about. But if you run somebody else's race, guess what? You miss out on your new shoes, and you got to start back over with this old pair of shoes that have no grip, that's gonna leave you slipping and sliding. Like, a lot of us wonder why we haven't reached our potential yet, and it's because you're running somebody else's race with somebody else's shoes on. And if you would have stayed in your own lane, you would have new cleats, but you didn't, right? And so that's my advice: is run your race.
I'm sorry, I'm trying not to jump and run around this room, okay? Because that was a word. That is a word. I think that was so profound, and I'm going to make sure that the team clips this portion, because people do not look at their own chapters in their own book, their own life book. They're looking at Hope Giselle's chapter 24, but ignoring the other 23 chapters it took for her to get to chapter 24. They're looking at Joe Bob doing this, Mary Jane doing that, and ignoring the road that it took for them to get to said space. And honestly, the struggles and the things that you had to overcome, most people couldn't do it. The struggles and things that I had to overcome, most people couldn't do it. So you have to acknowledge and appreciate your own journey, your own space, your own road. And it doesn't make anybody else better than anybody else. Love yourself, own yourself, live in your truth. Hope. Let's go to commercial. I can't. We're going to take a quick commercial break, you guys, because I want to get into the nitty-gritty of Hope's now and her present and what it looks like living as the incredible activist that is Hope Giselle. So stay tuned. We'll be right back, you guys. This episode is sponsored in part by Bullet and Flight Radio. Get ready to uplift your spirit with Bullet and Flight Radio, the world's leading progressive Christian radio station. Experience the vibrant fusion of gospel house music and a rich medley of inspiration from all musical genres that'll make your heart soar. Join their extraordinary lineup of today's trailblazers, visionaries, and voices that matter, all sharing their stories and wisdom. Stay plugged in around the clock as they broadcast unmissable content 24/7. Your go-to station for all things inspiring. Become a pilot today by visiting bulletandflightradio.com. Bullet and Flight Radio. Your story, our station. Welcome back, you guys. Thank you guys so much for joining. If you are just tuning in, please do not forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. It does help the algorithm, and you'll be able to discover all of the other amazing content that is here right here on Pyro Media Network. And if you're watching on Kwame Speaks YouTube channel, head over to Pyro Media Network as well to check out all of the amazing content there. We are here with the Queen, Hope Giselle. Yes, we're talking about living in your truth, and what we talked about. If you're on part of the replay gang, thanks for joining. And we want to talk about now. What is a life like? What is life like with Hope Giselle? What is it about Hope Giselle's day in the life? In a quick snippet that you can tell us about.
Wow. I'm busy. I'm happy. I have a team of people, including Kwame, that are my team. They double as my family and my brothers and my uncles and my aunties and my sisters and them. And without them, I would be lost a lot of the days. Like being able to like have people around you that understand that you're both busy but also still in need of guidance is amazing. And having even like being able to have Kwame as a big brother figure in my life. It don't matter if I haven't spoken to Kwame in 6 months. I could call Kwame at the ass crack of dawn, 3 a.m. And as long as he up to answer the phone, he gonna talk, for as long as I need. And that's really my day. Like that's my life, is being busy and being able to have a support system of people that help me to balance that busyness and that are never phased by my lack of availability sometimes, my scatterbrainness sometimes. I'm all over the place. And people who just get it and get me and understand that I want to make everybody happy and commit to all of the things that I said that I would do. Because I definitely tried to overcommit this Monday, and we realized quickly that will never happen again. We will never do that again. But yeah, and about to be a wife, about to like prepping myself for being somebody's whole wife out here in these streets. I have a godchild that's coming, and so I'm really excited about being like a pseudo mommy. And we're definitely talking about our own children. So the next couple of years, like all of those things are happening. So
I'm gonna be a gunkle.
You are going to be a gunkle. I'm excited about it all, but I do like some of it is downtime. So after 5 o'clock, I kind of sort of get into winding myself down, and my phone goes on focus mode. So I have like certain apps that I hear from and certain ones that I don't. And then after 9 p.m., I try not to work anymore, and that's my day. But it's really just like me and the folks that keep me going, and breaks.
Yeah.
Lots of breaks.
Yeah. And I think self-care is super important. That's one of the reasons, I started my second company, which is kind of an oxymoron. Because it's like it's about self-care, but I started a second company. What was I thinking? Let me call my therapist. But speaking of therapy, one of the things that I think is super important in therapy is writing things down, like journaling. And speaking of writing, someone that I know is an author. Now,
oh my god.
Author.
Oh my god, you got both of them. Both of them. Lord Jesus, people, he got both of them, y'all.
So, can someone explain to me what this is?
Not on what this is.
Right.
That is surprisingly my bestseller. And I love the first book, She Cute or whatever. Becoming Hope was cute. My second book is my favorite, and people pay her dust. People pay Until I Met Black Men dust. And I feel like there are so many like beautiful lessons in that book and so many different like nuances in that book that are just amazing. And I'm really upset that she don't get as much love. People still buy the first book in bulk today, and I'm just like, why are there like 150 copies being bought, and I released that book like 6 years ago? Stop it.
I think, and this is just my experience, and I want to equate this to my experience on TikTok. My brother Kyrie Sinaj and I are co-hosts on Power Hour. We windmill for Black women on TikTok, and especially Kyrie goes through a lot with these cishet Black men, and a lot of it is ego, and I think the title is what it is bothering them. But if they actually read, instead of judging a book by its cover, it's really, really good. And I have to agree with you. I love Becoming Hope. I think Becoming Hope is amazing. Sorry for the blur. I think Becoming Hope is amazing, but this is my favorite book.
Yeah.
I got triggered. I got triggered, and it's introspection. It allows you, especially your daddy issues portion. That hit me. I'm not gonna. Y'all have to buy the book. I'm not gonna sit here
Buy
and
the
give y'all
book.
a run through it. Like y'all need to really seriously. I don't push books if I don't believe in them. And I will put this book in the category of how I felt after reading Shonda Rhimes' A Year of Yes, because that was a life-changing book for me. And so for me, this changed how I interpret Black women. This changed my approach with Black trans women. This changed my respect because I already had a high respect for Hope, but this elevated my respect for her. And so it's just an overall beautifully written book. And so although I don't want to shame this girl,
Right.
I've read this a couple of times.
Right. I don't want to shame it.
We're not shaming it, but y'all
But
need to read this one.
she's that girl. Right. I was like, she's that girl.
She
And
is
I
that
do
girl.
agree.
She is
I
that
do.
girl.
I was really excited about it, but I think
Yeah.
you're right. I think the title did throw people off, and I thought the title was going to work for me, but it worked against me, and I'm a little sad about it.
I think we're shifting in a space that people are going to be able to go read it anyway.
Yes.
So I don't knock it. Don't think that. I think you made a really smart decision with this because the reason why I even got it was because you said Until I Met Black Men. And I was like, because I was like, well, I got Hope's first book. It's fine, I'll be okay. But then I saw that title. I was like, nope. Where's my card? I was like, I need to get it because I know it's gonna sell out, and I did not even want to waste time. I needed to read it because oftentimes when we in order for us to be better brothers, husbands, fathers, whatever in the male perspective as Black men, we need to have a mirror held up to us. We need to hear how others are viewing us. And so if I don't hear from the perspective of a Black trans woman, I'm not going to be able to appreciate a Black trans woman more. Overall, this is not just about Black trans women, if you really want to think about it. The diaspora of Black womanhood is in this. So I really think that you guys should really check it out. I'm not windmilling for it because of the fact that Hope is my sister. I'm windmilling for it because it did hit me. Like I said, daddy issues was.
That was my favorite section as well. That was like my favorite little chapter to get into. And it mostly just because I think that as I was writing it, like I touched on my father in the first book, but when I really got into like the nuances in this one, I think that it unlocked a lot of like things that I forgot or that I thought that I had forgotten about and things that I needed to reconcile with. And it took me back to the graveyard because unfortunately my father passed away.
I'm sorry.
But you have to read the book because I think if I get into it, I'll start getting into too many things. But make sure y'all go and purchase that.
Please.
I'll make sure that Kwame has the link so you can get it directly from the warehouse because Amazon is sold out again. So y'all will be able to get it directly from my warehouse. It won't be Prime, but I ain't gonna make y'all wait 2 weeks, child.
Right. And actually, at this point, the way Prime's working, you go wait 2 weeks, anything go away. So you'll be all right. Now, I want to shift gears. I had to bring these up, so forgive me for being a proud big brother. So I had to get into these because these are on my shelf. I have books all over the place, but this shelf right here, this right here is my space where I go and healing center. Okay. But I had to talk about that. I want to talk about, and this is during Pride Month, so happy Pride, everyone. But I want to talk about I want to talk about something that you and I talk about in private a lot. And forgive me for bringing it up, but I do think that one of the beautiful things about you is that you do not shy away from controversy and you keep it real and you live in your truth. I have noticed. We all have noticed that Pride gets very commercial.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear it. I get it. I understand marketing. I've been in marketing and branding for over 10 years. So I understand certain things need to happen because we live in a capitalist society, right? It's just
Correct.
the way it is right now, right? At
Correct.
least right now. With that being said, why do we why do we have to be your annual come up on a check? Furthermore, that's question number one. Furthermore, why do we
Mhm.
LGBTIQ,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
LGBTQIQ
Uh-huh.
always either, oh, let's get a Hope Giselle. Let's get a T.S. Madison for Pride. Let's get the girls from Pose. Let's get all of these other, trans queens out there, visible trans queens out there. Let's do it for Pride. And then the rest of the year, we don't invite you to our panels. We don't provide you space to have conversation about it, but we're speaking for you. Enlighten me. Because I just want to know how you feel about that. Maybe it's just me.
It's not. um, but I tell people all the time, folks, these people are not blind to the fact that queer dollars they spend and they spend well.
Mhm.
Because on top of being queer, especially at the intersections of being like black or brown people, oh, you best believe the people got something to prove, right? So outside of feeling like as a queer person, you got to prove that you're not a part of the stereotype. Add being black or brown of any shade of the brownness to the mix, right? It's that constant American dream to assimilate, to be able to, now it's not to assimilate to whiteness anymore. What it is though, is it's to be able to assimilate to being able to spend money the way that whiteness spends money. And so then we overspend, right? And we don't realize that whiteness is getting stuff from Alibaba that's just real good quality, one to one, right? That Chanel ain't real, but we don't question whiteness about whether that Chanel is real because whiteness is whiteness. So when we see a white woman with a Chanel bag, the assumption is that it's real, no matter how fake it looks, right? But
Yes.
when we see each other with a Chanel bag, I'm going to check this bag over like I'm a Chanel associate doing a return because there's this understanding that we're not supposed to have nice things. And
Yes.
so I think that corporations are not blind, they're not deaf, and they're not dumb. They understand that we are going to spend money for that reason. And
Yeah.
especially and specifically when you tailor it to feel like an inclusive space for us to spend money.
Yeah.
And then I think on the flip side, when it comes down to the LG and the B and then the I and the QA plus, um, ignoring the T for the rest of the year, a large part of that is because a lot of them and a lot of people fail to realize that gender identity and sexuality are not the same thing. Who I go to bed with and who I go to bed as are two very different conversations. And a lot of people who go to bed with, right, the same sex do not care about people who identify as a different sex, right?
Yes.
There's a very different conversation. And because of that, there are a lot of queer and gay and lesbian people that have the same thoughts about transgender people as Ron DeSantis, right? And so we cannot just act as if, oh, they're under one big happy rainbow family. They get each other, they love each other, they're always on the same page. That is simply not true.
No.
And if you think that there are not a couple of gay men that don't sound like your most, problematic Uncle Earl at the cookout, you would be sadly mistaken.
Yeah.
And you'd also be very surprised to find out that a lot of them are your most twinked out, sissified, over the top, zealous girlfriends that are giving the trans girls the side eye. So it just is what it is.
I there's a joke that I always say sometimes, and it really is amongst our colloquialisms. Is it be your own?
It be your
It
own.
be your own. It's
It
really
do.
frustrating, and I think for me, I have difficulty um, processing, and sometimes I don't have a problem standing on my own. I don't have a problem being the only one in that corner that says, "Oh, y'all going right. I'm just gonna go left." And I don't. I think it took a lot for me because I think in my early 20s, I would, just go with the flow because that's what, you're taught as a soldier to do. But after a while, like I realized that there's more power in your individuality than anything else. And so for me, I don't have a problem saying, I don't like what you just said. I don't like that you are disrespecting trans women. Well, there's no trans woman around, but I'm here. And I have people who are very close to me who are in the trans community. And how are you going to say that you're a part of our community, the entire alphabet, mafia, and then, only windmill and only go to bat for them when it's time to go up for a cause. But they're always 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year going to bat for us. And I don't understand that. I don't understand that. It's the same thing when I have arguments with cishet black men when it comes to, and I want to be very clear, ignorant cishet black men that sit there and say, oh well, you keep willing for black women, like you don't have bro code. I have bro code. That's one of the reasons why I'm telling you you're an asshole. Like that's why I'm telling you, because I care about you, and I also care about our queens. And I don't understand why although what makes me unique as a black man is the fact that I am a gay black man, or a black gay man, because I'm black first. Okay? I think that doesn't take away from the fact that I'm in the diaspora, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think for me, what I see oftentimes is well, that's a trans woman. Okay. But isn't this a protest to protect black women? Yeah, but that's a trans black woman or a black trans woman. But you said that this is about protecting women, right? This is about women's rights, right? So are we not, am I not supposed? Okay, I see what this is about. And the same thing goes with LGBTQIA plus endeavors. Like, oftentimes, we sit there and we get mad at the white LGBT portion because they exclude us out of it. But then we do the same to our own. So it just doesn't make any sense to me. There's elitism.
Come on, at its finest. But it's also one of those things where it's just like, what they really mean to say is that that's a man to me. And I have been in space long enough to know that I can't just say that that's a man to me without triggering a couple of people. And so what I'm going to say is, but that's a trans woman. And what I'm hoping that you pick up is that that's not who we here to protect, right? We not here to protect those types of people. And it's sad, but it's just what people do. It's what people do.
So how does one like myself, who oftentimes gets put into spaces where there's the collective thought of, we need to worry about what's going on. We'll find a trans woman and we'll put them on the panel, but we're not going to be really serious about it. We just need to get them there so we can get this grant. You know what I'm saying? Like what? How does one who actually gives a damn, and really cares, how do we sprout out from that? What do you tell your LGBT non IQ, rest of the letters, brothers and sisters and non-binary to help? How do we become real allies?
Honestly, I think that being able to speak up for people when they are not in the room is important, but then also being able to leverage that person when they are in the room is also very important. It's one thing for you to protect my name when I'm not there, but it's another thing for you to invoke it while I'm there and give me the space to be able to protect myself, right? And sometimes it's not even about me knowing, because I think that a lot of people think that support is being able to say, like, hey, so-and-so was talking about you and I want you to know. And it's like, that's cute, but really it's messy, because there's only one of two outcomes that can happen. I could either pay it dust or I could go in, and you hoping that I go in because you want to be able to watch it.
Right.
And so now what I think it's better to do is to know that there are people in this space that don't like me and that have been fake with me, and then give me the mic so that those people have no choice but to listen to what I have to say, unbeknownst to me at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's you want to really get inside a person's head. You want to really experience growth. You want to really make a person feel icky and silly. put that person that they were just talking about, but then hugged as soon as they walked in the room, on a platform to be able to educate them and watch them cringe and fall over as everybody else has to watch the knowledge that comes out of that person's mouth. And just watch, right? You know, like that's the work. The work is not always coming back and telling me every little thing that somebody did or said. The work
Yeah.
is about putting me in the position to be able to continue to say those things regardless of whether they like it or not.
Yeah.
And I think that that's how you fix those wagons.
I love that. I love that. And I think that is I think our community, especially when I say our community, I'm specifically talking about the Black LGBTQIA community. We get into a space of shade and messiness, and that is very discouraging for someone like me, who, because it's like, okay, we can kiki, we can hoo-hoo, we can haha, but there are real policy issues that are going on that we need to worry about. And so I don't really care what's going on Real Housewives of Atlanta. Don't get me wrong. I watch the show because it's fun. I need escapism. We all need escapism. At some point in time, we need a moment to just take a break from the world and and you spoke on this several times on your lives on IG. By the way, follow Hope Giselle on all social media platforms. You've spoken this about, like, saying, hey, I am constantly doing this. This is all I do. So when I say I need a break, I need a break. I'm disengaging, and that does not mean that I have any less energy for the cause. It just means that I need to self-care right now. And so, yes, we can have those moments, and we can go to the club, and we can sip on pina coladas or whatever and kiki. But we also need to be strategically move into situations where we're in these media outlets. We are working for these organizations. Like, for example, if you want to really help people like Hope, then you need to work in CNN. You need to work in MSNBC. Become the executive producers to bring them on, because these people are going to sit there and say, "Oh, well, we're not going to give them a voice unless they have a certain amount of numbers." Okay, well, you know how eloquent Hope talks. You know that she's been fighting for the cause for a long time. You need to give them spaces. And if it's going to be little spaces, that's fine. Because guess what? After a while, Hope Giselle's name and other people like Hope Giselle are going to be spreading like wildfire all over the place. So you give them space instead of saying, hey, Hope, you know, so-and-so was talking about you, girl. Okay, but what did you say? What did you say when so-and-so was talking about me?
Because that's the next question. That's always the next question. So, like, okay, but oh, so you just came and told me.
Okay,
so that to me sounds like silent agreement. Thank you. And now I know not to mess with you no more neither. You know, like, so like no, when I tell you, like, people, whenever I go through my block list in front of people, folks are like, really? And I'm like, yeah, some of these people I have never met, I don't know, but I was on another platform and I heard them say something, or I saw them say something, or I'll see an exchange between one of my sisters and somebody else, and I'll block that person prematurely, because you're not gonna ever catch a whiff of me and then come over to my page with that same energy. No, get blocked. You know, so.
And really, it's that simple. It's really that simple. And so before I get to my final question, I have to ask you, because you have, when I tell you be windmilling in these comments, honey, like, you be windmilling, like, I be like, why would you even dare try? Like, why would you even waste your energy? Try. You must have got paid, girl. You must be one of them paid trolls. Yeah, that's the only reason.
Have to be.
That would be the only reason you would suffer the barrage that is Hope Giselle. Okay, because she will get you together. But my question is that as you've been grown, because you've been through a lot of different phases, and you're continuing to glow and grow. And so my question is, what type of advice would you give to up and coming activists, artivists, social media influencers that want to kind of create spaces, and content creators to help them grow and deal with the mess that is social media?
Create the lane that does not exist. Right. And this goes against the grain of what we hear all the time, where people be like, oh, do it anyway, because everybody else is doing it. Yours is going to be the one that hits. And it's like, that's cute or whatever, if that's your passion. But oftentimes people are not passionate about it. People see other people making money, and so they feel like, oh, I can do it. And because they can do it, it doesn't mean that that's what you should be doing. Right. Creating that lane that a lot of people don't sit in, or creating that lane where it's literally a passion of yours, creates a space where you don't mind getting up and being inconvenienced. I don't mind the fact that in my little loft, I have to put my lights behind the couch when people come over so that it keeps everything clean. I don't mind that I have to like make sure that my couch is a certain way and push my coffee table back every single day. I don't mind that there are a lot of days where I don't want to be full face beat down, but I recognize not because I feel like I'm ugly or I'm trying to hide anything at all, because a bitch still gives without it anyway, but it's because I understand that if you are trying to be with the big boys, you have to play the way the big boys do. And the big boys get dressed up, right? You
Yes.
have to dress for the job that you want. When I look at, you know, MTV, VH1, Black Girl Talk on you know, whatever network that is, anybody on any television show, they're not sitting up there in their house with a high bun and they glasses on with a sweater, right? They come to work
Yeah.
dressed the part
Yeah.
because part of people's interest is about how you look, right? So
Yeah.
looking the part. And if it's an inconvenience to put that time into your craft, then you shouldn't be doing it. And
Yeah.
so as an influencer, as somebody who is trying to create a name, or as somebody who's trying to spark a space in advocacy, one of the biggest things that I tell people is I don't talk unless I feel passionate about something. That's why whenever I do talk, people have given me that like moniker of, oh, she's always yelling, she always mad. No, I only speak unless I have a passion for something, which
Yeah.
is why whenever you see me talking, there is passion behind what I'm saying, because I don't waste my time on things that I don't give a fuck about. Because if that's the case, then why am I even talking about it? If you don't care, why are you talking? If it doesn't matter, then why did you make a whole segment about it? If you don't care, then why did you wait for the YouTube video to render? You created a whole cover for it and then you promoted it with hashtags, but you don't
Yeah.
care? Like, make it
Yes.
make sense. And I'm just not doing that. So like, if you're gonna be in that space, take the time to perfect your craft, love your craft, speak on it when it's important to you and not what other people tell you to. And I think lastly, one of the biggest things is going to be, don't let anybody tell you when to stop or when to go or when to do whatever. You're not at anybody else's pace or on anybody else's timeline but your own. Your friends are going to have ideas and it's okay to take them into consideration. Your mom is going to have an idea if she's still with us. It's okay to take it into consideration. Your folks, your best friend, your partner, your F buddy, whoever, they're going to all have opinions because they all want what's best for you if they're good people, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to acknowledge that they're good people, but that you still know best for what you have coming up. And let that and allow that to be the thing that guides you. There's a bunch of stuff that people think that I can do and that I know I'm capable of doing, but it's not the time. I don't feel like doing that right now. And if I jumped out into that pool, I would sink because my heart is not in it. Your heart is in it for me, and I love that for you. But until my heart is in that with you, I can't do nothing with it because it's just going to be a waste of my time, energy, and resources. And then you're going to say that I failed because you wanted that from me and I didn't want it for myself. So, you know, just be mindful of those things.
Yes. Oh my God, I could talk to you all day, sis. We don't have the time. So thank you so much for coming on to Kwame Speaks. I really, really appreciate you taking the time out. I always love chopping it up with you. We have when we do have our conversations outside of work, it is so
Always.
thought-provoking. It is so enlightening, and I always take away a gem from you. So I appreciate you blessing the audience with your grace, your poise, and really just being a phenomenal representation for what elegance is, what Black girl magic is, for what womanhood is. And so I thank you for all of that, and I thank you for really just windmilling out here for us. And I know people want to give people their flowers, like, you know, Tina Turner had passed away a couple of weeks ago, and we want to give them flowers after they leave, right? And so I want to make sure that we give our flowers to those who are doing what they need to do now. Give it to them while we can. So thank you for being on here. First of all, before we go, how can people find you? Even though I don't know how, you know, you don't know where Hope is, but for those who don't know.
So I'm gonna flex real quick and just say Google me, okay?
Right.
If
Google.
you Google me, everything pops up so that way you don't have to look for it and discover it. Even though it's at Hope Giselle on everything, I think
Yeah.
there's like a one behind some of them or whatever the case may be because I couldn't get the Hope Giselle. But if you Google Hope Giselle, all of my social media pops up: YouTube, Instagram, the podcast, the book, all of the things will pop up if you just Google Hope Giselle. So that's the easiest way to do it.
Yes, yes. And also don't forget, like I mentioned earlier, to check out I Have Thoughts with Hope Giselle on Pyro Media Network, and it happens every 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And what is it on East Coast time?
It is 1
East Coast 2
or 2.
2. It is 2 p.m. East Coast time.
It's 2 p.m.
Yes,
it is 2 p.m. Yes.
2 p.m. is what I was just testing to see if y'all knew that we knew
what we knew.
Right. Again, thank you so much, Hope, for joining us. I appreciate you for just kind of just being that gem and that light, and continue to glow up. And we will continue to follow you. I will always be in your corner. So no matter what. So I love you. Tell brother-in-law I said hey. All right, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Check out Kwame Speaks every Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I will see you guys on the next one. Until then, create a great day. Bye, y'all.
If you enjoyed this content, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to Pyro Media Network's YouTube channel for more awesome content. Plus, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss when we go live or upload new videos. Visit pyromedianetwork.com today, not just to check out our incredible roster of talented creatives, but also to gain access to exclusive bonus material available only to our Pyro fam. Show your support for this Black-owned indie network by donating today. Help us keep igniting brands everywhere.